Pilates. Hi, everyone. I'm San Francisco Mayor London Breed, and I'm joined here today by Dr. Grant Colfax of the Department of Public Health, Kate Sofis of the Office of Economic and Workforce Development, and thank you, Rodney Fong from the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce, and Tracy. We are at EMS Pilates Studio. Yes, and this is a place that we wanted to come here today because as of today, August 20th, the new health order goes into effect where with bars indoors, restaurants indoors, places of entertainment of 1,000 and more people, and gyms and studios like this are required, people who enter are required to show proof of vaccination. Now, I want to start by saying this is not about punishment. This is really about trying to get our city to a better place. What we're seeing now with this Delta variant is like nothing we've seen before. And it could be a lot worse if we've never even had a vaccine. And so yesterday, I went to the Fillmore Western Addition community, the place where I grew up. And Ms. Cook, she and I attend the same church. I've known Ms. Cook my whole life. Her son is a little bit older than me, a little bit older than 50 years old. He got sick. He refused to get vaccinated. Within a week or so's time, he was in the hospital and sadly passed away. And Ms. Cook talked about how when her son came to see her, she was worried because she, yes, had the vaccine, but she has underlying health conditions and was very concerned about her health. She loves her son, but she begged him to get vaccinated. And the hurt and the pain that is coming from her is really something that others are experiencing, because what we're seeing with about 117 people in the hospital now, when we were just not too long ago at less than 10 people in the hospital, what we're seeing, we're of course very concerned about. And we're especially worried about our children who are under the age of 12, who can't even get vaccinated. And so this requirement, again, it's not about a punishment. It's really about a chance to try and get us moving in the right direction and keeping people safe. In San Francisco, we have really been the model for the rest of the country. I'm really proud of the people here. We have 79% of San Franciscans that are eligible to get the vaccine that have been vaccinated. So that is absolutely amazing, and I'm really grateful. But there are more people that we need to make sure they get vaccinated. I am tired of wearing masks. I am tired of COVID, just like all of you. I'm tired of talking about COVID. But just because we're tired of it doesn't mean that it's tired of us. It's still here. And it's coming back with a vengeance with this Delta variant. You know, what's interesting is I am getting more phone calls from people that I actually know that are getting COVID. It's happening more regularly. And in some cases, some of those people are actually vaccinated. I'm getting more phone calls from people who are telling me that their family member is in the hospital and they want to go see them, and there's a whole other situation that happens as it relates to that. And this is like nothing that I've experienced even throughout the 16 months of dealing with COVID. So what's important now, as we try to get to that finish line, we keep talking about this light at the end of the tunnel. We're finally able to see one another again. We're finally able to go to restaurants and dine together and spend time with one another, because during the pandemic, it was very difficult for us to do that. And if we want to continue down that path, as much as it's hard to continue to come out here and say, I need you to do this, I need you to do that, I need you to do this. I don't want to keep saying that we need to implement health orders. I want us to be free to do all the things we did before this pandemic even existed. But I also have a responsibility. When I look at the data, when I look at what's happening in San Francisco and other parts of the country, I think about what we need to do. And our goal is to beat back this virus once again. And that's why we're implementing this new health order. It goes into effect today. We are trying to do everything we can to reach out and to support businesses. We ask customers to comply with what businesses ask you to do. So for example, we're asking for indoors to require the vaccination cards, and there are some restaurants who are choosing to do it for outdoors. And if they ask you to show proof, please just comply. Please just comply with our health orders. It's not something that we're doing as a punishment. And I just want to take us back just a little bit before I introduce Dr. Grant Colfax. When this virus first hit San Francisco, or right before it first hit San Francisco, a lot of us didn't know what was going on, how you would contract it, what's happening. We remember the ship that was stranded in the middle of the bay, and everyone concerned, and all the uncertainty and all the fear, because we didn't completely know what was going on. And over time, we not only found out what was going on, but there were concerns expressed about whether or not we'd have a vaccine, in the year or two. And the fact that we have 3 options for vaccination has been absolutely incredible. And Dr. Colfax will tell you of the about 1,800 people that have been hospitalized since December 1st of last year, only 6 of those people were vaccinated. So the whole point of these vaccines have a lot to do with keeping you out of the hospital. We're not saying you may not get COVID. What we're saying is the difference between the sniffles and being homesick a few days and suffocating, ending up in the hospital on a respirator and dying. That's what this is about. So we're here to announce these new health orders, to ask people in San Francisco to comply and to be understanding. We want to get back to the life that we once knew. I want to go to a concert. I want to go hang out with my friends in settings without worrying about all these distancing requirements. I want to have a good time in San Francisco. And how do we get there? Get vaccinated. Get vaccinated so that we can continue to move forward and continue to make sure that San Francisco is one of the safest cities as it relates to COVID in the U.S. And with that, I want to introduce Dr. Grant Colfax to talk a little bit more about what is really going on. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Grant Colfax.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you, Mayor Breed, for your continued leadership as we continue to work and reach out to the business community, moving together during this pandemic. I want to acknowledge our key partners in this audience, including Kate Sofis, Director of the Office of Economic and Workforce Development, Rodney Fong, President and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. It's great to see both of you. And I also want to thank Tracy Sylvester, owner of EHS Pilates, for your support. And really bringing public health to the business community is so key as we try to continue to address this Delta surge and going forward, because we know now that COVID is going to be with us for the foreseeable future. This is about the Delta surge right now. It could be about the next variant-fueled surge next. So getting vaccinated is so important. We're not only worried about the suffering for this fourth surge, but we're also needing to ensure that we do everything we can to keep the city as open as possible, and very importantly, continue our in-person learning with kids in school. And today, requiring the proof of vaccination to enter businesses that serve food and drink or exercise facilities or in indoor events greater than 1,000 is another step forward as we continue to address the pandemic. This is navigating our new normal. And we're here, DPH is here to support businesses with the tools, signage, information, and other support to offer as we implement this order. And just a reminder that we will continue to send the Vax to You team out to businesses to vaccinate 5 or more employees. That team has been busy. We ask businesses to take advantage of that. We will come to you and provide vaccines. In addition to implementing this order, and I really also want to acknowledge Dr. Navina Baba and Dr. Susan Phillips for their work on implementing this, drafting the order and implementing the order. We've had a really busy week here at the Department of Public Health. We have scaled up a new testing site, high-volume testing site at 7th and Brannan, which can administer up to 500 tests a day with turnaround time in 24 to 48 hours. And we also have issued a new health order requiring large healthcare systems to provide testing within 24 hours for their patients, and to turn those tests around within 48 hours and to report back to the health department on progress with regard to that. We've also implemented the CDC recommendation that immunocompromised people receive a third dose of vaccine, and have been seeing people take advantage of that at our many hospital clinics, our primary care clinics, and our drop-in centers for vaccination. Our strategy continues to be to protect the most vulnerable due to COVID-19. And again, part of that is working with our business community to ensure that everybody has the opportunity who is eligible to get vaccinated, to protect our children under 12 who are not yet eligible to be vaccinated, so that we can get through this surge together and be as ready and prepared for what may be the next. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Colfax. I don't know about you, but I want to go to the movies and be able to eat popcorn and have a drink when I'm in the movie theater. Don't you think it's about time? Well, let's get vaccinated so we can do that too. With that, I want to introduce Kate Sofis from the Office of Economic and Workforce Development to talk a little bit about what we are doing as a city to help support businesses during this time.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your continued leadership, and thanks to Dr. Colfax and our Department of Public Health. As I stand here today, I deeply appreciate and recognize that so much of the responsibility to move us forward lies on the backs of our small businesses and the leadership of our small businesses, and we're about to hear from one that I am personally so proud of that we stand before today. We have always been a city that's been at the forefront of things in this country. And it is no surprise to me that we are stepping forward in advance of other cities and other communities and taking such an aggressive stance in trying to keep our community healthy and safe, and to still have these opportunities to eat popcorn, to have a drink, to have your favorite food, or to work out your booty at a place that we stand in front of today. It's all part of what makes us this city. It's all what makes us want to be here in San Francisco, to live, to work, to raise our children. So I am both proud and committed as the head of the Office of Economic and Workforce Development to make sure that all of our small businesses, wherever they are in this community, have the support they need to be able to effectively implement this health order. We have a website, oewd.org. On that, on our landing page, you will see access to all sorts of resources as businesses to be able to properly implement this order, and that includes signage. It includes training on how to actually check a vaccine card, whether it's local or from another part of the country or from a visitor from abroad. So I encourage all of you to go to that resource. And then we have a wonderful team who are ready now to be able to work with any of our businesses or employees who have questions about how to comply with this order. Again, today, August 20th, is the day when we are asking all customers who come into restaurants, bars, entertainment venues, places where you take off your mask to eat or drink, or places like gyms and Pilates studios where you leave your mask on but you are breathing more heavily. These are really the two circumstances that the science shows there's a higher risk of transmission, and that is why we are focusing on these businesses. But we stand at the ready and able. I am so proud of us as a city, and with that, I want to give the final comment here today to one of our very own businesses. I'd like to call up Tracy Sylvester, who is the owner of EHS Pilates, and I want to recognize not only is this a business that has been starting to begin asking for vaccine status even in advance of this order, but this is a legacy business. We are standing in front of 30 years, and I want to recognize you for that accomplishment, for your leadership, and with that, you have the floor.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tracy Sylvester, owner of EHS Pilates. I first want to start by thanking Mayor Breed for all that you've done for the small business community. It's been a really rough year and a half, but we're standing here today with a team of people ready to serve, and we just wanted to share our story. I mean, we have been rolling out the vaccination status requirements today, and with the leadership of the bar community that got together and decided to do this with, I think, about a month ago, we really have been waiting in the wings. We tested systems in place to see how we would do it. We were talking to our customers, getting our staff prepared, and we are so thrilled to have the full-throated support of the leadership of our city so we can confidently walk into this new landscape together. And I invite all the other business community members to join. If you have any questions and want to know what it's been like here, we actually have had a tremendous response of support from all of our clients and our entire staff. We were almost being asked to do this, and we were just, again, waiting for that full-throated support of our leadership. It gives us a way to be able to take and act in the public health and the public health and make sure that we are all safe, and we are about energy, health, and strength, and we are embracing this moment and invite the rest of our community to join us.
Thank you so much, Tracy. And I got to say thank you to the bar owners and to the restaurants and to EHS and Tracy and others, because what I found out from talking to not only many of those people, but also many of their employees, what they were noticing was that some of their employees who were vaccinated were getting sick. And they were concerned about being able to stay open. It has already been challenging to find employees to work at many of these establishments. And this was just a step that they felt was needed. Many of their employees expressed a desire to see it happen, because I know there are folks that say, well, how are, small businesses have enough to do? How are they going to implement this? And you know what? It's just another thing that's added that's going to make things better in the long run, and most people are willing to comply. And I want to express my appreciation, because I spend a lot of time, I'm sure all of you do too, going out to all these various places in the city, and especially a lot of restaurants. And I love what San Francisco has become. The one good thing from the pandemic are these shared spaces where you can have dinner and hang out with your friends outside, even when it's freezing cold. We're used to this weather in San Francisco, so it's okay if we're outside in the cold without a jacket. It's what we're used to as San Franciscans. And the fact is, it has been great, but we're still in this pandemic. We still have work to do. And we are so very much appreciative to each and every one of you for being a part of the solution. Let's continue to get vaccinated. Let's continue to encourage others. Yesterday, I was holding a man's hand who said, I'm only going to get vaccinated because you're holding my hand. I'm like, all right. And we were squeezing tight, and he got it done. And I was really proud of him. I know it took a lot of courage for him to do that. And I get it. It's not easy. But everyone who gets vaccinated, you're doing it not just for yourself, you're doing it for your fellow San Franciscans. So please get out there and get vaccinated. We make it as easy as possible. And please support the health orders. We'll be out there monitoring, but more importantly, we'll be out there to educate people and to provide resources and support to ensure that there is compliance. This is not about punishment. This is about education. It's about helping to get our city through this pandemic. And thank you all so much again for coming. Oh, and we can do a few questions with the press.
Hi. I really want the city to be healthy and safety too. And some of what I've personally investigated shows that people who are vaccinated can still transmit the disease, but it mitigates the severe symptoms for the people who have the vaccine. Are we working on two things? One, getting a nasal vaccine, which has been shown to be more effective in the transmission of it, and people who are against the needle vaccine are more willing to take it. And two, rapid testing kits on site so that we can do the most effective thing, which is identify quickly and get people to quarantine and go see a doctor within the first 48 hours.
Thank you for your question. I'm going to let Dr. Colfax talk about that because he knows the latest of what's happening.
So thank you for those questions. So with regard to people who are vaccinated, we know that people who are fully vaccinated can still contract COVID-19. Thankfully, for the vast majority of those people, the symptoms will be mild to moderate. As you know, as you referred to, the CDC did determine that people who are fully vaccinated who do have COVID-19 can transmit the virus. We're still waiting to determine how long they can transmit the virus and how much they can transmit compared to people who are not fully vaccinated. So that's a key piece. I think with regard to ongoing vaccine research, I mean, that's something that's being done and supported by the National Institutes of Health and CDC. These vaccines that we have right now are really good. I can't comment on the nasal, any plausibility around a nasal vaccine. I will say that, we do have a one shot for people who don't want two shots, so that's great. And I think, we'll continue to see these vaccines evolve in a very positive way as we learn more about the virus and variants. With regard to rapid test kits, we're very much supportive of people using those and supporting those. We're working with many community organizations to distribute home test kits when possible and plausible. And that's another tool that we have now to help get this pandemic under control. We're encouraging people to get tested, particularly if they've been exposed to someone they know has COVID-19, or of course who has any type of symptoms.
And I'll just say for the testing, we just opened another site at 7th and Branding and Soma. And the whole point of having these testing sites are really we don't turn anyone away, but we try to make them available for people who may not have insurance and who employers require testing for whatever reason. If you're trying to get tested for your vacation, please contact your healthcare provider. We've also put forward some requirements from private healthcare providers to be, just more responsive, faster with providing testing for people. Really, we want you to focus on your healthcare provider if you have insurance, but for especially those who don't have insurance, we wanted to provide those options. I also know that they sell these rapid test kits in a number of pharmacies, and so they are available as well. The test that we provide is also free, and we want to make sure people without insurance have access to testing.
I'm asking about the requirements for city employees to be vaccinated. I understand that there are several first responders who are being suspended as a result. Are you worried about there being fewer first responders on the streets, whether it's police, sheriff's deputies, or firefighters as a result of this?
No, I'm not. We have a plan in place. We have required at this time that everyone at least reports what their vaccination status is. And we're talking about a very small number of people that have been suspended, and we have been prepared for that. So we're not concerned about first responders, but we are not going to deviate from our requirement to ensure that every city employee is vaccinated, because not only does it impact the people that they work with, it also impacts the public that they work with. So we want to do our part as a city to protect the public, and we will continue to take the appropriate steps necessary to do just that.
Looking ahead, you have scheduled outdoor concerts coming. What is the plan for that?
So we do have a number of scheduled outdoor events. And for example, we know Outside Lands is coming up, and we're working very closely with them. And the goal is to require proof of vaccination for events that have 5,000 or more people in an outdoor environment. And so we're working with the promoters for a number of these large-scale events to put forth the appropriate plan that will be provided to the people who have purchased tickets or those who are interested in purchasing tickets, so that they are well aware in advance before they attend the event.
One last question.
Do you have to have a smartphone to show proof of vaccination?
No, you do not have to have a smartphone. You can actually have your actual vaccination card. Some people will use a photo of their vaccination card. Some people will upload it with the state system so that they can show that it's been verified. Right now, we're not trying to get into micromanaging of what you show. We just want to make sure that people get into the habit of showing proof. And everything is contingent upon the data and what we start to see with the numbers and what happens with COVID in San Francisco as to whether or not we take that a step further and require that they be verified. But for now, we're doing it this way to make it as easy as possible for businesses and for the people that want to attend those businesses.
What has been done to get the word out about the proof of vaccination for people who might be coming from outside the Bay Area and even outside the state so that they know when they come to the city that this is something?
Well, you have been the help. The press has been very helpful with communicating that. And I think also because I've noticed that people have already been asking for it. So I think that most people realize we're in a pandemic. We're still dealing with it. So it's a thing that people expect. So I think the word is getting out, especially through the press. I think that's been very helpful. I also think that businesses, when you sometimes book your reservation, they give you information about what their requirements are. And even people, when they book flights and you're starting to do things online, they're saying, look at the requirements. And there's a way to see what the requirements of an establishment are. So I think for the most part, you know, we're going to do our very best to get it out there. And this is just one of many of the things that we're trying to do as a possible solution to getting things better. We'll be monitoring the numbers closely and revisit these policies as we see improvements. We can lift policies and make changes. But for now, this is just another thing we have to do. We're living with COVID. San Franciscans are resilient. We adapt. We keep moving. We're able to still go out and see one another like never before. So we'll keep doing what we can to get the word out. All right. Thanks, everyone.